Welcome to episode 61, PRISMA Scoring Strategy at R2, where we focus on turning maturity scoring from a mystery into a manageable plan. PRISMA stands for the Process, Risk, and Information Security Maturity Model, and we will refer to it as PRISA after this first mention. Strategy matters because R2 depends not only on whether controls exist, but on how predictably they operate over time. A clear scoring plan turns scattered artifacts into cohesive proof, reduces rework, and sets realistic expectations for every control owner. It also prevents last-minute scrambles that depress maturity levels and invite quality review findings. Think of scoring as project management for credibility. Define targets, choose evidence, test assumptions, and confirm alignment. With a shared approach, teams speak the same language, understand the thresholds, and present results that withstand assessor questions and formal quality checks. Target maturity levels by domain to create focus and to allocate resources wisely. Not every domain needs the same level at the same time, and R2 allows this nuance. Identify domains with the highest external exposure or contractual pressure and set higher targets there. For example, aim for strong implementation and consistent measurement in access governance, while setting a steady but achievable target in less risky support areas. Document these targets so owners know what evidence depth is expected. Revisit targets as architecture, data flows, or obligations change. This domain-based approach prevents thin coverage everywhere and instead builds depth where it matters most, producing a maturity profile that feels intentional and defensible. Weighting, roll-up, and pass thresholds must be understood before evidence collection begins. Teams should know how individual control scores contribute to domain results and how domains contribute to the overall outcome. Clarify what constitutes a pass at each roll-up level so nobody is surprised during assessor reviews. Use simple scorecards that show current standing against thresholds, highlighting controls with disproportionate impact. When a single weak control can drag a domain below the line, treat it as a priority for remediation. Share the roll-up logic with control owners because understanding influence motivates timely action. Clear math builds confidence, guides effort, and keeps leadership aligned with realistic certification probabilities. Evidence depth drives maturity credit because PRISMA rewards sustained operation, not paper promises. For each control, map the evidence needed to claim policy, procedure, implementation, measurement, and management. Policy requires durable rules. Procedure requires repeatable steps. Implementation requires dated proof of actual operation. Measurement requires trend data and thresholds. Management requires oversight decisions based on those trends. Calibrate depth per control type so technical safeguards show system outputs, while governance elements show approvals and reviews. When evidence is layered and time-bound, maturity credit flows naturally. Thin artifacts that only describe intent will cap scores quickly, no matter how plausible the narrative sounds. Treat partial implementations consistently to avoid optimism bias and quality review corrections. Define what partial means in your environment, such as missing locations, incomplete user coverage, or limited time in operation. Decide in advance how partial states will score so similar cases receive similar treatment. For example, if multi-factor authentication covers administrators but not service accounts yet, set a predictable ceiling until coverage expands. Record these rules in a short playbook and apply them across controls. Consistency protects credibility, helps owners forecast outcomes, and reduces negotiation during assessor and quality assurance reviews. Fair treatment of partials also clarifies priorities for closing the last gaps quickly. Sampling choices affect scoring certainty because R2 tests consistency rather than one-time success. Define the population for each control, select representative samples across systems and time, and document the selection logic. Larger or more diverse populations require broader sampling to earn higher maturity levels with confidence. Use simple tables showing the universe, the chosen sample, and why it is representative. If sampling exposes variation, adjust maturity expectations or remediate before the scoring window closes. Clear sampling strengthens assessor confidence and prevents quality reviewers from questioning whether the data supports the claimed level. Certainty grows when sampling is transparent, repeatable, and rooted in real operational diversity. Prioritize quick wins while avoiding technical or evidence debt that will resurface during quality checks. Quick wins include controls where implementation already exists but evidence is disorganized, or where one configuration change unlocks broad coverage. Tackle those first to raise the floor of maturity quickly. At the same time, resist shortcuts that generate new exceptions later, like temporary manual steps that cannot be sustained. Keep a short backlog for each domain with owner, effort, and impact estimates. Move high-impact, low-effort items to the front. This balancing act builds visible momentum without sacrificing integrity, helping the organization meet targets while strengthening everyday reliability. Plan remediations before scoring windows so trend data has time to accumulate. Many maturity levels require more than a single proof point, and late fixes will not produce the needed history. Build a calendar that aligns control changes to the assessment period, allowing at least 2 cycles of measurement where feasible. Communicate that timing to owners so they can schedule changes, audits, or tests accordingly. When a fix arrives too late for the window, right-size the score and document the improvement plan rather than forcing a claim that quality reviewers will question. Early planning turns the calendar into a strategic asset that converts effort into recognizable maturity credit. Link operating metrics to maturity levels to make scores inevitable rather than debatable. Choose a small set of metrics per control that demonstrate reliability over time, such as patch timeliness, access review completion, or alert response intervals. Define thresholds that correspond to maturity levels and publish them to owners. Collect and visualize the metrics on a regular cadence so trends are obvious. When numbers meet thresholds predictably, the score becomes a reflection of operations rather than a negotiation about intentions. This linkage also drives continuous improvement because teams manage to clear objective targets that support both security outcomes and certification needs. Prevent score gaming by insisting that every claim is anchored in verifiable evidence. Gaming shows up as selective samples, one-off screenshots, or narratives that overstate automation. Establish a simple rule. If it is not repeatable and time-stamped, it does not earn sustained maturity credit. Encourage owners to submit native system outputs and complete inventories rather than cherry-picked examples. Hold a brief challenge session where peers question surprising claims before assessors do. This culture of healthy skepticism protects credibility, speeds external reviews, and avoids rework loops. Real scores based on real performance are harder to dispute and easier to renew. Maintain maturity between assessments so renewal does not become a rebuild. Convert scoring artifacts into living dashboards. Keep measurement jobs scheduled and hold brief monthly check-ins on at-risk controls. Treat exceptions as time-boxed with visible owners and closure dates. When changes in systems or staffing occur, revisit the scoring assumptions to keep levels accurate. Sustaining maturity in small, regular steps is far cheaper and calmer than an annual surge. It also demonstrates to assessors and quality reviewers that performance is durable, not staged for a deadline. The goal is stability that persists regardless of audit timing or personnel turnover. A consistent and defensible scoring strategy turns PRISM from a hurdle into a management system. Align targets to assurance outcomes, set domain-level ambitions, and let evidence depth and sampling drive honest levels. Apply clear rules for partials, prevent gaming through transparent artifacts, and confirm consensus with cross-team sign-offs. Keep momentum by planning remediations early and maintaining metrics between reviews. When strategy guides every decision, scores reflect real reliability, assessments proceed with fewer surprises, and certification becomes a byproduct of disciplined operations rather than a stressful annual event.